My name is Mina, I am 29 years old. I live in a small town, I work at a guest house near the bus station. Every day people from many countries come here. Some people stay for one night, some stay for 1 week. They often ask questions, they want help. They want to know where to eat, what to do, or how to get to the market. But when they speak English, I stay quiet, I just smile and point. I feel afraid to speak, I was not always like this. When I was a child, I liked learning, I wanted to speak English. I watched English movies, I repeated the words. I listened to English songs, I even talked to myself in the mirror. I felt happy when I learned something new, but one day something changed. I was in school, I stood in front of the class. The teacher asked me to speak in English. I wanted to say I am hungry. But I said I am angry, the whole class started to laugh, even. The teacher smiled, I stood there like a stone. I wanted to run, I never forgot that day. After that I was careful, I stopped raising my hand. I stopped trying to speak, I thought if I don't speak I can't make mistakes. Years passed, I finished school. I got a job at the guest house. The manager said, "You must speak a little English." I said yes, but I lied. I was still afraid. I could understand some English, but I never spoke it. I was scared to say something wrong. I thought people would laugh again. One day a tourist came to the front desk. He looked tired, he had a heavy bag. He asked, "Is there a restaurant near here?" I understood him. I knew the answer, but I said nothing. I pointed to a map on the wall. He looked confused, then he smiled and walked away. My manager saw this. After the man left, he came to me. "Mina, why didn't you speak?" he asked. I looked down. I was not sure what to say. I said. The manager looked serious. "You must try, it's part of the job," he said. That night I could not sleep, I felt small. I felt weak, I thought about my life. I worked every day, but I was not growing, I was not learning. I remembered the girl who loved English. Where was she now? I wanted to be that girl again. The next week I saw a sign in town. It said, "Free English class, evening time at all levels welcome." I stood in front of the sign for a long time. I was afraid. What if the class was full of smart people? What if they laughed at my words? But I also felt something else. I felt tired of fear. I wanted to change. I went to the class. The teacher's name was Leah. She was kind. She smiled a lot. "Mistakes are okay here," she said. On the first day I sat in the back. I didn't speak much. I just listened. The other students made mistakes, but Leah never laughed. She helped them, she corrected them in a soft voice. Slowly I started to feel safe. After 2 weeks I tried to speak. I made many mistakes. I said, "He go to school yesterday." Leah smiled and said, "He went to school yesterday." I tried again. "He went to school yesterday." I felt strange at first, but nobody laughed. They all waited for me to finish. I smiled, I felt proud. One day something happened. A tourist came to our guest house. The manager was not there. I was alone at the desk. The man came to me and said, "Can I check in, please?" I said, "Yes, passport please." He gave me his passport. I tried to ask him how many nights, but I said, "How much night?" He smiled. "Just 2, he said. I felt my face get warm. I made a mistake. But the man did not laugh. He understood me. We finished the check-in. He said, "Your English is good." I shook my head. "Still learning," I said, but inside I felt happy. I did it. I spoke in English. That night I told Leah about it. She clapped her hands. "You see, a mistake is not the end. It is the beginning." I smiled. I started to believe her. But my fear did not go away. It still lived inside me. Sometimes I still wanted to be silent. Sometimes I still wanted to run. I did not want to feel stupid again. But now I had something new, I had hope. One afternoon a group of tourists came in. They asked me where they could eat. Local food, I tried to help. I said, there is one shop near the bus. They laughed a little because of how I said it. I felt the fear again. I wanted to stop, but then one woman said, your English is very good. Thank you, I looked at her, I smiled. You're welcome, I said. After that I started to speak more. I still made mistakes, but I also learned from them. Every time I said something wrong, I remembered it. And next time I said it better. After that day I felt more sure of myself. I still made mistakes, but I did not feel so afraid. I went to class every week. Leah gave us small speaking tasks. We talked in pairs. We asked and answered questions. Sometimes we played small games to learn new words. I did not always understand everything. But I did not stop trying. When I said something wrong, I looked at Leah. She smiled. She helped me say it better. I liked that feeling. I felt safe. At home I started to practice more. I watched short English videos. I listened to slow English songs. I tried to repeat the words. I did not understand every word, but I listened again and again. I even spoke in front of my mirror. Again, just like I did when I was young, I said, my name is Mina. I work at a guest house. I like to help people. It felt good to hear my voice in English. One day in class, Leah said, we will have a small speaking day next week. You will talk to the group for 1 minute. Tell us something about your job or your life. My hands felt cold. I looked around the room. Other students were quiet too. Leah said, you can do it, just try. Don't worry about mistakes. I went home and thought about what to say. I wrote a few sentences in my mind. I practiced alone. I kept it simple. I said, I work at a guest house. Many people come, they ask me questions. I help them. I like my job. On the day of the speaking task, my heart beat fast. My hands shook a little, but when my turn came, I stood up. I looked at Leah. She smiled. I took a deep breath. I spoke. I forgot one word in the middle, but I found another word to use. My sentences were not perfect, but I finished. The other students clapped. I sat down. My face was hot, but I felt strong inside. Later, one student said, Mina, you spoke very well. I smiled and said, thank you. That small moment stayed in my heart. I was not the best speaker in the class, but I was trying, and that was enough. Some weeks later, something big happened. A tourist group came to the guest house. There were 6 people. They spoke English. The manager was not there. I was alone. At the desk, I took a deep breath and stood tall. I said, hello, welcome. They smiled. One man asked, do you have 2 rooms for tonight? I said, yes, 2 rooms are free. I gave them the keys. I asked, how many nights? He said, just 1 night. I smiled and said, okay, breakfast is from 7 to 10:00. Then one woman asked, where can we eat local food? I tried to answer. I said, there is a shop near bus station. Food is very nice there. She looked happy. Thank you, she said. I felt proud. I made a few mistakes, but they understood me. That was the important thing. Before they left, the same woman said to me, your English is good. I smiled and said, thank you, I'm still learning. After they left, I sat down for a moment. I thought about how far I had come. A year ago, I was too afraid to speak. Now I could help 6 people in English. My hands were still shaking, but I smiled. The next class, I told Leah everything. She clapped. You are growing, Mina. She said, you are not perfect, but you are brave. That is more important. I felt proud. I wanted to learn more. But the journey was not always easy. Some days I felt tired. I made the same mistake again and again. I said he go instead of he goes. I forgot small words. I mixed past and present. Sometimes I got angry at myself. Why am I so slow? I asked. But then I remembered what Leia always said. Mistakes are not bad. They show what you need to learn. One evening a new student joined the class. Her name was Clea. She was quiet just like I was before. After class I said hello. She smiled but said nothing. I understood her. I said, it's okay to be afraid. I was like, you can speak, just try. She looked surprised. Your English is good, she said. I smiled, thank you, but I still make many mistakes. We started to talk after class. I helped her with some new words. It felt good to help someone else. One day Leia gave us a new task. Next week, she said, we will go to the market. You will speak to one shopkeeper. In English, just one small question. I was nervous again. Yeah, I thought. What if the person does not understand me? What if I say something wrong in front of everyone? But I also knew I had to try. On market day, we went in a small group. I walked with Clea. We reached a fruit shop. I looked at the man behind the table. I smiled and said, how much are the apples? The man looked surprised but happy. $2 per kilo. He said. I said, okay. I want 1 kilo. He gave me the apples. I paid him, then he said, good English. I said, thank you. Claire looked at me. You did great. She said. I smiled. You are next. She went to the next shop and asked about bananas. She spoke very slowly, but she did it. After we left the market, Leia said, I am proud of all of you. This is how you learn, one step at a time. After that I felt different. I still made mistakes, but they did not stop me anymore. I started to see mistakes as friends. Every mistake showed me something new. If I forgot a word, I looked it up later. If I said a sentence wrong, I said it again the right way. I started to keep trying again and again. One night at work, a man from Canada checked in. He asked many questions. I answered him slowly. I used short sentences. I repeated myself when he didn't understand. At the end he said, your English is clear, you are doing well. That night I smiled the whole way home. At the next class I shared that story. Leia said, your English is not perfect. But it is real, that's what matters. I started to believe that. I did not wait for perfect, I used what I had. Later Leia gave us another small task. She said, start speaking in English at home, just 1 minute a day. Talk to yourself, say what you see, say what you do. So I tried. In the morning I said, I am making tea, I am wearing my shoes, I am walking to work. It felt strange at first, but I started to enjoy it. I laughed at my own words sometimes, but I kept going. One morning I said, it is raining, I need my umbrella. And I smiled. I was thinking in English. That was the real change. Before, English was only in my class or at work. Now it was in my life. At work I started to say more. Please wait here. Your room is ready, have a nice day. I even answered phone calls in English. I was still afraid sometimes, but I did not let fear stop me. One evening the manager called me to his office. Mina, he said, I see your work, I hear you speak to guests. You are getting better, I want to give you more responsibility. I said thank you. He said, you will now help guests plan tour. I smiled, I was ready. I walked out of his office and looked at the guest house. It was the same place. But I was not the same girl, I was not silent anymore. I started my new job row the next week. I was nervous again, but not the same kind of nervous as before. This time I was ready to try. I knew I would make mistakes. I knew some sentences would come out wrong. But I also knew I would learn from them. I was not trying to be perfect. I was trying to be better. My first guest for a tour was a woman named Lisa. She was from Australia. She wanted to visit the lake and the old temple nearby. I took a small map and showed her the places. I said, this way. To the lake it takes 20 minutes by car. She asked, is there a good place to eat nearby? I said, yes, one small place, local food, very good. She smiled and said, perfect. After she left for the tour, I sat down and wrote the words I used. I wanted to remember them. Local food nearby, it takes 20 minutes. These were small sentences, but they helped me. I felt like I was building something strong, one small brick at a time. Later that day, another tourist came in. He was from Japan. He spoke English very slowly. I was happy. I could understand him and he could understand me. We talked about the waterfall. He wanted to go there the next morning. I said, the bus goes at 9:00 a.m. From the station. He said, thank you very much. I felt proud again. My words were simple, but they worked. That night I went to English class. Claire was also there. We sat next to each other. Leah gave us a new practice task. Speak with your partner. Ask and answer about weekend plans. Claire said, what do you do on Sunday? I said, I clean my room and cook. Lunch, she asked, do you watch movies? I said, yes, sometimes. I like action movies. It felt like a real talk. No books, no fear. Just two people learning. After class, Claire and I walked together. She said, I speak better now. I said, you do. I remember when you were quiet. She laughed. You helped me, she said. I smiled. We help each other. Days turned into weeks. My speaking got stronger. I still made mistakes, but I was not afraid of them. If I said something wrong, I said it again in the correct way. I listened more. I asked questions when I didn't know something. I started to enjoy speaking English. One afternoon, group of students from another city came to our guest house. They were studying tourism and came with their teacher. The manager asked me to speak to them in English. I said yes. I was still scared, but I remembered how far I had come. The students stood in the small meeting room. I stood in front of them. I said, welcome to our guest house. We have 15 rooms. We give breakfast every day. Check-in is at 2:00 p.m. and check-out is at 11 a.m. I showed them the rooms and the small kitchen. I used short, clear sentences. They asked questions. Some were hard. I didn't know every answer, but I said, I don't know. I will ask the manager. Nobody laughed. They listened. When it ended, their teacher came to me. Good job, she said. You speak clearly and you try hard. Your English will grow more. I said, thank you so much. My hands were shaking a little, but I smiled. I had done it. That night I thought about everything. The old Mina would never say yes to a group talk. She would stay quiet. She would hide. But the new Mina was learning, speaking and helping others. I felt proud. A few days later I had a video call with my cousin Sarah. She lives in London. Her English is very strong. She asked, how is your job? I said, I help guests speak English. I also plan tour. She smiled. Wow, your English is much better. I said, yes, I practice every day. I also go to class. She said, I'm proud of you, Mina. I felt happy. Sarah said something important to me. You don't need big words, you need clear words. You need to speak often, that's how you grow. I never forgot that. The next day Claire told me she was going to try for a new job. It was at a travel office in town. They want someone who speaks some English, she said. I said, you should try. You are ready, she said, maybe. I still make many mistakes. I looked at her and said, we all do. But mistakes help us, she smiled. Okay, I will try. She went for the interview the next week. After she called me, Mina, I got the job. I said, I knew it. I'm so happy for you, she said, thank you. You always helped me. I felt full inside. My journey helped someone else. That made me feel strong. One morning my manager called me again. Mina, he said, you do a good job with guests. I want to send you to a 2-day training. I said, training. He said, yes, you will go to the city. There will be a workshop for hotel workers. It will be in English. You can learn more and meet others. I was scared, but I said yes. The city was big, the hotel for the training was nice, there were many workers from different places. The teacher spoke slowly and clearly. I understood most of it. We worked in groups. I spoke a little at first, then more. I made friends. One woman said, I was scared to come, but I see you speaking and I feel better. I said I was scared too, but we can learn together. After the training, I came back to my town. My manager said, how was it? I said it was very good. I learned new things. He said, I'm proud of you. I smiled. Thank you, I'm proud too. Leia was happy when I told her about the training. She said, you are a new person now. You are not afraid. I said, I still feel fear sometimes. But I don't stop. That night I looked at myself in the mirror. I said, hello, my name is Mina. I speak English, I help people. I make mistakes, but I grow every day. I smiled. That was the truth. I was not perfect. But I was not afraid. The next class I stood in front of the group. Leia said, Mina, can you share your journey with the new students? I looked at the students. Some were quiet, some looked afraid. I said, I understand you. I was like you, I made mistakes. I still do, but I speak, I try. That's how we grow. I saw a few students smile. I saw one girl nod. I knew what she felt. I said, don't wait to be perfect. Use the words you have now. They are enough. The class clapped. Leia smiled. After class, the quiet girl came to me. She said, I want to be like you. I said, you will be just start, speak. Make mistakes, then speak again. That was the end of one journey and the start of another. I was no longer the girl who stayed quiet. I was not afraid of mistakes. I welcomed them. Because every mistake was a small lesson. Every lesson helped me move forward. I did not learn English in one day. I learned it by trying, by failing, and by speaking again. If I could do it, anyone could. I was just a girl from a small town, but I had one thing: I did not give up. Mistakes did not stop me, they helped me, and that is how I stopped being afraid.